Good evening. This is, I'd like to welcome you all to the January 22nd Committee of the Whole meeting. I'm Mike Bruno, First Ward Alderman. I share that duty with the esteemed Tara Burkhart. Getting on our agenda, everyone is here with the exception of Alderman Kilberg. We might be connecting him. He's traveling on business, but we might be able to connect with him later in the meeting. First item of business is approve the Committee of the Whole minutes from January 8th, 2018. Do I have a motion? So moved. Marks and Swanson. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. We've got a couple of introductions here. Very briefly, I'd like to introduce Tish Powell. She's the Illinois Municipal Marketing Manager for Advanced Disposal. She'd like to say hi to us.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Tish Powell. I am the Municipal Marketing Manager with Advanced Disposal. Obviously, we're your solid waste vendor for your community, and we appreciate your service. Just wanted to stop in and say hello, see how things are going, see if there are any questions or feedback I can take back with me. And I just have to say, it's a little interesting being on this side of the podium. I'm a city council member in Elgin, so I appreciate your service. I know that what you do is hard work, not always appreciated, but I understand, and I just wanted to say we appreciate your service.
So if I had an old TV in my car out there, I can give that to you?
As long as it's something I can lift and put in the car, I would be more than happy to take it back with me.
I jest, of course. Well, thank you. Are there any questions of Tish? Well, thank you for introducing yourself, and I'm sure the city will be having other communications with you.
Great, thank you. And I'll leave some of my cards with the city clerk. I left some with some of the city council members. I missed some of you, so I'll leave cards with the city clerk for the rest of you. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have the honor of introducing a new employee, fleet mechanic Trent Walsh.
Good evening, everyone. I will be as brief as possible to allow Trent ample time to talk about himself. So I'll just give you a brief rundown on the process of how we came to Trent. We started the process back in September, as a matter of fact, after Chris Crater left. We rewrote the job descriptions and some of the qualifications that we were looking for our new hire. This process took about, from start to finish, the whole time. We extended the deadline a couple of times just to make sure that we had plenty of opportunities for people to respond. We left the applications on Wabansie Community College, Elgin Community College, UTI, Universal Technical Institute, a couple of different places so that we could broaden our search, and we wound up finding Trent Walsh for us. So it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Trent Walsh.
Hi, Trent.
Hello.
So you're, well, I could hand this off to
That's the cheat sheet.
the cheat sheet. So well, I mean, I could give it to the mayor too. He does a good job of embarrassing the new hires. I see here you graduated West Aurora High in 2015. That seems ridiculously. I mean, things are getting more and more ridiculously young as I get more and more ridiculously old. But I'll let you go through.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it should be noted that Trent was born in Geneva.
Oh, so you've got some.
They
some
reside
roots
at
here.
the 200 block of McKinley. Some of you old-timers in the room may recall a name, Dr. B.
Oh.
Remember Dr. B? Yeah. Dr. B delivered Trent. And as Trent said to me prior to the meeting, Dr. B almost dropped you. That's a
Yes.
true story, correct?
That is a true story, although maybe I shouldn't have said it.
He's retired now.
Yes, he's retired now, so. You worked for Napa as a parts runner,
Yes.
and then on to our favorite
Yes, Woody Buick.
Woody Buick in beautiful Naperville. Went to work for Bill K. Chevy in 2017 and regrettably was laid off after the labor strike. And lo and behold, this opportunity presented itself. And I know, and I believe the council knows, certainly I know the staff knows, and I think Gene Fenari would echo this as well. You and Sherry Weidel, I know downstairs, have been communicating regularly regarding updating data, regarding securing new information to help innovate what you do to ensure that the fleet is up and running. I know Mr. Babica and Mr. Landers sing your praises regularly as well. So we're delighted to have you on board.
I'm glad to be here. It's a great job. You know.
That's okay. Hold on.
And you've been on board for, what, 6 years now, right?
Not quite yet.
How long have you been with us?
I believe this is about a month now.
So I thought, yeah.
So you don't just hop out of, you don't just hop out of school and start wrenching on vehicles for the community. What's your background in terms of where'd you learn to wrench?
My background was, I started at the dealership, started just as a lube tech, and I kind of found some guys who I liked, stuck to their side. They taught me a lot, did some work on myself, and just moved my way up from there. And I learned a lot through manufacturer training and just from people at the dealerships. And unfortunately got laid off and saw this job application and tried my luck, and here I am. So
Oh, good. Are you enjoying it so far?
I love it. It's
Good.
the favorite job I've ever had. So
Well, that's, at your age, you haven't had many. Well, we're very glad to have you. You've got, where are you living now?
I'm in North Aurora now.
Oh, okay. Still have family here?
Not in Geneva, no. All my family is in North Aurora, actually, so. I lived here for, I was too young to remember. It was a brief time after I was born, so then ended up in North Aurora.
Mr. Chairman, there's an expression that the only difference between a doctor and a mechanic is the language. Have you heard that expression before?
I haven't, but I'll probably use it.
Okay. Would you agree with that, Trent?
I would agree.
And not these days. The liability's a lot less. And you've got a heck of a fleet to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's a big fleet. It's much different from what I'm used to, but I'm enjoying every second of it.
Oh, good. Maybe over the next, the coming years, we'll be buying some new equipment that won't chew up as much of your time. I know some of our stuff is pretty vintage.
He had to take off the Bill Wood for Mayor stickers on several of those cars, so it's like,
Well, are there any questions of Trent? Deus? If not, well, thank you and welcome aboard, and glad to have you on the team.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, on to items of business. Item 4A, recommend draft ordinance amending Chapter 1, General Provisions, and Chapter 4, Public Open Spaces of Title 12 subdivisions, including formatting, procedural, and regulatory changes related to the dedication of parklands or school sites or payment of fees in lieu thereof. So moved. Moved by Cummings, seconded by Marks. Do we have Dean here? And let the record show that we do have Alderman Kilberg in by phone. Ordinance or law allows alderpersons, if traveling on business or ill, can attend the meeting via phone.
Thanks, Mike.
Dean, welcome aboard. Is there any discussion on 4A, or is there any, David, do you have any presentation to this? Just
I just, David, I just have a couple of questions, quick and easy. I noticed in this agreement, which was good to see, that it's going to be updated every 3 years. I think that's what we said with the appraisal. We share in that appraisal cost. Is that because we also use it for some of our impact fees, or why is that?
We do not collect any of these impact fees, but we shared in the cost of this appraisal as a cooperative effort with the districts to work through these amendments and to kind of keep it updated every few years. We would anticipate sharing in that cost in the future too.
So we would be sharing. Do we receive anything for administering this? Because I know that we have to administer the money that comes in and pay it back out. Do we receive anything from that, or is it just all?
We do not.
Because it has to be a city ordinance, am I correct with that?
Correct.
That's the way the state law dictates that?
That's correct.
So we just pay what was our share, do you remember off, I don't remember of
like-
the appraisal?
Just about $500.
Okay, all right, okay, all right, thank you, that was kind of it.
Actually, I did mean to lead this off too with just a general description for the viewing public as what this land cash is. When a developer comes in developing properties over how many units?
It's anything that would trip a plat of subdivision or a planned unit development, so it's,
Oh, okay.
it could
anything
be as
with-
little as 3 units.
So a developer would provide cash up front to the park district and the school district to, so that they can accommodate the new burden or the new load of students in attendance to that. That's a fair description.
Correct.
And these hadn't been updated in quite some time, so I'm glad to see that these are updated now. Sorry, any other questions at the dais? Seeing none, hearing none, I think a voice vote is sufficient on this. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Gilbert guy.
Oh, Gilbert, aye, so unanimously. On to item B, recommend draft resolution authorizing execution of an amended and restated intergovernmental agreement regarding dedication of park and school sites or the contribution of fees in lieu thereof by and between the Board of Education of Geneva, Community District 304, and the Geneva Park District, and the City of Geneva.
Second.
Moved by McGowan, seconded by Marks. This is related to the, to 4A. Just had to be split up for procedural reasons. Any discussion on 4B? Seeing none, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Gilbert guy.
Gilbert, aye. It is unanimous. On to item 4C. Recommend draft resolution awarding bid and contract to Acres Group in the amount of $83,856 for 2018 with a 3% increase for 2019.
So moved.
Moved by Marks, seconded by Ruby. Any discussion on this item? Alderman Marks?
Yeah, whoever, is this for all of the SSAs and the city? What does this all cover, I guess, is what I wanted to make sure of.
This includes several of the SSA properties. It also includes several of the regular city properties and then some
Fire
properties from
department, city hall.
Fire department, yes.
Okay. All right, so it's whatever, we have one contract now with one company and it's just replacing that one, right?
Correct.
And it's all of those properties, okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Just wanted to make sure of that.
Any other questions from the dais? Seeing none, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Alderman
Gilbert guy.
Gilbert, aye. Passes unanimously. Item 4D, recommend draft resolution authorizing a contract with Lakeshore Recycling Systems in an amount not to exceed $75,514 for 2018 and $77,403 for 2019 street sweeping services. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Marks. Seconded by Radecki. Any discussion on this? I would just note for the viewing public, the name of the company is Lakeshore Recycling Systems, which changed their name from
Hoving
Hoving,
Street
who-
Sweeping Services.
who's already our street sweeping contractor.
Correct.
Any discussion on this item? Alderman Verdecki?
Yeah, thanks, Nate. Just a couple of questions. Do other cities contract this service out, Batavia, St. Charles? Do they have the same kind of program? Are you aware of that, or?
I know that St. Charles does, contractors out. I don't know how similar they are, per se, but I do know that they contractors out. Batavia, I don't believe does, but
I mean, other than aesthetics, is this for the health of the storm sewer system? I mean, why do we, I guess what I'm getting at here is, it's in a 3-year time period, we'll probably spend about $250,000 on this program, the way that it's going. Have we thought about bringing this in-house? I mean, I'm guessing that equipment's pretty expensive to have and maintain, and of course, you gotta pay somebody to run it, but have we ever considered bringing this in-house, or?
it was,
It was for a long time.
and I don't know when it stopped before I was here.
Yeah, it stopped sometime during my tenure, and I don't remember, was it the machine, was that
The
I know
equipment broke
the
down.
equipment broke, or was that the leaf equipment that broke?
Well,
I think of
good
both.
question.
Because we contracted both out,
Yeah.
so I'll let Director Babbitt take it over.
It was a combination of both. The employee that was operating the machinery was retiring, as well as the street sweeper itself had to be replaced, and they come with about a $300,000 price tag. So the powers that be at the time decided it was an opportune time to reevaluate the system,
And we
the
didn't fill that
decision-
position.
Yeah, the position was never filled. So at that point in time, it's been contracted out ever since.
I mean, have you given any thought to bringing it back in, or is the math just at $300,000? and,
Math didn't work
To
last
be truthful, we can't afford to maintain all of the equipment that we currently have, and to bring on another piece of large equipment that I know at the time, the repairs were astronomical just to repair the piece of equipment, and then you would need somebody, obviously, to operate it. So I don't believe, we can look at it again, I don't believe the cost benefit is there.
Yeah, it looked like you wanted to do some city parking lots too, and you couldn't work it into this contract. I know it'd give you a lot of flexibility, but, at what cost, and so.
And to answer your earlier question in regards to, this is one of the key components of our MPDS, our stormwater permit and insurance compliance with the federal and state EPA.
So Rich, then does this cost get shared with the water and sewer department, or is this just all come out of the general fund? Maybe that's a question for. Oh, it does.
Paid out of the refuse fund,
It comes out of the refuse fund. Okay, thank you.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
Any other questions from the dais? From the public? Oh, Alderman Verdecki?
Would this ever be something that the Tri-Cities could share in? Is this something that communities, would this make any sense to approach the other communities in the Tri-Cities and say, hey, let's buy one of these and let's just different. Maybe one couldn't cover, because we have 200 curb miles, I see, so.
Yeah, it takes roughly a week straight, depending on the type of material. I mean, during leaf collection, it probably takes closer to 2 weeks to go through town. It may be opportune in the future. We've really been very aggressive with doing joint contracts with our sister agencies in St. Charles and Batavia. And that may be an opportune time to look at that. I have actually a meeting with my counterparts next week to discuss some of the other ongoing contracts. And I know, for example, the electric utility is looking at a joint contract between St. Charles and Batavia and Geneva for tree trimming, for example. So we really are looking at more collaborative efforts whenever they align. So definitely the next time I sit down with my counterparts, we could discuss this.
Thanks.
Any other questions at the dais? Alderman Kilberg, do you have any questions on this item?
No, I think we gave up street sweepers about, 5 or 6 years ago, I think.
Yeah. That's it. If there's no other comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Kilburg, aye.
Passes unanimously. Last item, 4 Edward, 4E, recommend draft resolution declaring 3 newspaper vending receptacles as surplus property. Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved by Marks, seconded by Cummings. These are, the three, if I recall, these are at Starbucks, the post office, and State Street Diner.
That's correct.
These are the now unused derelict newspaper dispensing items. So, and we are just removing that from the ordinance, and these will be removed. Is that right?
That's correct. We tried to, we removed one several years ago and tried to sell it on iBid, but had no takers, so we're just gonna scrap them.
Any questions on this item from the dais? From the public? Alderman Kilberg?
No?
No? Given that, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Sir, I'm not giving you your due attention there, Dean.
You're doing fine.
Item 4, new business. Does anyone have any new business for the council? No? Anyone from the public have anything to chime in on? Nothing. With that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Marks, seconded by Swanson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Silver guy.
Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you.